One of the women says that bicycle gave them confidence and it has made them not to depend on men. They have to go sell the products, come back home soon, because before the children or the kids come, they should be there at home, and they have to walk for a very long distance to fetch water also. The main thing is that cycling gives confidence to women. Very importantly, it reduces their dependence on men. Hello everyone, I am Babita Tamaya, lecturer, Department of English, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. In my previous session, I had revised the chapter, The Author. In today's session, I'll be revising the chapter Where There Is a Wheel by P. Sahinathan. Let's see the agenda for the day. Today, I'll be discussing the synopsis, weightage of the prose, question and answers. P. Sahinathan says that the rural women of Pudukkottai, they believe that bicycle gives them independence, freedom and mobility. The author begins the article commenting that when people hear the caption, cycling has a social movement, it may sound far-fetched to them, but it is true. People find curious ways of hitting out at their backwardness, of expressing defense or hammering at the fetters that hold them. During the past 18 months, 1 lakh rural women have taken to bicycling as a symbol of independence, freedom and mobility, and their number constitutes over 1/4 of all rural women in Pudukkottai. So here it's speaking about the women who are not going to or who are not depending on men. They say that bicycle gives them freedom, independence and mobility. So how many women? More than 1 lakh women in rural Pudukkottai have learned the bicycling. Among them, over 70,000 of them have taken part in public exhibition cum contest to proudly display their skills. Yet, the desire to learn cycling and the training camps continues. So here, 1 lakh women who started with the cycling. Among that 1 lakh women, 70,000 women have taken part in the exhibition cum contest. And they say that it's a skill and they have started the training camps also. The author then tells us how two of the participants, that is Jamila Bibi and Fatima, a secondary school teacher, feel about their achievement in cycling. So there are two examples here. That is, one is Jamila Bibi and the other one is Fatima, who is a secondary school teacher. Let's see what is their achievement. The author quotes Jamila Bibi, who says, "It is my right. We can go anywhere. Now I don't have to wait for a bus." So what Jamila Bibi says, she says that bicycle is my right. I don't want to wait for anyone, not for the bus. And Fatima says there is freedom in cycling. Why she says that? So she is a secondary school teacher where she did not have 1,200 rupees to afford for a bicycle. So she used to hire a bicycle for half an hour only to have that happiness by traveling in the bicycle. We are not dependent on anyone now, and I can never give this up. The author says that Jamila, Fatima and their friend Avakani, all in their early 20s, have trained scores of other young women in the art of cycling. So there are three examples here. One is Jamila, Fatima and Avakani. These three women have helped the other women in Pudukkottai to give them a training and use bicycle without depending on anyone. Cycling has swept across this district. Women agricultural workers, quarry laborers and village health nurses are among its fans. They are now being followed by Balawadi and Anganawadi workers, gem cutters, school teachers, Grama Sevikas and midday meal workers. So not only it is Jamila, Avakani and Fatima, other than that, these are the few women who depend on bicycling. The authors then tells the reader that he has spoken to every one of these new literate, new cyclist women and asserts that there is a direct link between cycling and the new cyclist personal independence. What is neo-literates? Neo-literates are the new learners. The opinion of the coordinator who says that the cycling training has given confidence to women and it has reduced their dependence on men. So, one of the women says that bicycle gave them confidence and it has made them not to depend on men. Depending on the men, it has been reduced now. The author often sees a woman doing a 4-kilometer stretch on her bicycle to collect water, sometimes with her children. The women can cut provision from other places on their own. Even filthy remarks used to be made by men. He praises that Arioli organization for volunteering to give social sanction to cycling. So here when the women started bicycling, the men couldn't see that. So what they do? They started commenting, they started making a filthy remarks on the women. But they did not give their ears to such remarks. They just move forward with the cycling. So the women who have learned cycling and who have bicycle, they used to go fetch the water 4 kilometers away and coming back, they would pick their children, where they were not depending on anyone, especially the men or with the bus. He says that it was an unusual experience to see all the prospective learners who had turned out in their sundry best. The Ariola activist produced songs for the new cyclists to encourage bicycling. The author quotes a line which says, "Oh sister, come learn cycling, move with the wheel of time." It is not all the men who used to make filthy remarks. There were few men who also supported and encouraged the other women who started with the bicycling and the new literates. And here when they saw, that is the UNICEF, when they saw the women taking part in the exhibition cum contest, they had sanctioned 50 mopeds for the women in Pudukkottai. He reports that in 1991, a former district collector by name Sheila Rani Chinkat hit on the idea of training female literacy activists so as to reach women in the interior village. It is reported that Chinkat paid personal attention to this idea and motivated the banks to give loans to women to buy a bicycle. So, a former district collector known as Sheila Rani Chinkat, she pushed the banks to give loans for the women to buy the bicycles. This encouraged the new literates and their example was followed by every woman in the village to learn cycling. This led to a shortage of ladies' cycle. Then the women started using gent cycle. So when she asked the banks to push the loans for the women of Pudukkottai, they could see more and more number of women who started to learn the bicycling and they wanted to buy. So when most of the women in Pudukkottai started to buy the bicycle, there was shortage of ladies' cycles. And few of the women who were not ready to wait for the ladies cycle, they just go with the gents cycle. On the International Women's Day in 1992, over 1,500 female cyclists with the flags on the handlebars, bells ringing, took Pudukkottai by storm. The town's inhabitants were stunned to all the women cycle rally. So in the year 1992, during the International Women's Day, there was a rally again. So 1,500 women have taken part, and when they have gone for the contest, you can see that all the women in a similar costume and had the flags on the handlebar and the bells were ringing and they had taken part in this contest. And all the people, that is the men in Pudukkottai, were stunned to see the rally of the women in their bicycle. The author gives the opinion of S. Kanakarajan, owner of Ram Cycle, the cycle dealer, says that he had seen a raise of 350% in the sales of ladies cycle in 1 year. This is probably for two reasons. So S. Kanakarajan, he is the owner of Ram Cycles, and he says that he is a dealer, and he says that there was an increase of 350% in the sales of ladies cycle. Why he says this? He says this because of two reasons. One, a lot of women unable to wait for ladies cycle went for men's cycle. So why there was he had 350% of profit. What was the reason? Because everyone started to buy the bicycle. The women were not ready to wait for the ladies cycle. They started to buy the gent cycle. And the other reason, Kanakarajan shared this information with me in the sense that is P. Sainathan, the author, cautioned that I was an undercover agent of the sales tax department. Why did the owner of Ram Cycle share this information with the author? He thought that the author was from the sales tax department. So he shared all the information with the author. The writer cites the example of Manorami to illustrate how learning to ride a bicycle can help to store query workers also. The 22-year-old Manorami is a stone query worker and Arioli volunteer. According to her, co-workers to learn cycling because their working place are little cut off from the main road. So here, what does Manorami say? She says that the people in the village of Pudukkottai, they are not well educated. So before training them to come and join for the training camp, we have to educate few of the things, only then they will come and join this training camp. Those who learn cycling, they can go home after work and come back the next day. Otherwise, they have to stay there alone in a new place facing a lot of problems or traveling every day with the bus. So the women who have lot of work, have learned cycling, they can go finish the work and come back, and they might get too much of leisure time to relax. But the women who don't afford a bicycle or who don't know how to ride a bicycle, and they have to depend on the men nor on the bus, where they don't get the leisure time nor they can come home early. Sometimes they might stay back there if it is too very late. The writer says that in 1992, more than 70 women displayed their cycling skills at the public exhibition cum contest run by Arioli. The UNICEF, who were imprisoned with the achievement of these activists, sanctioned 50 mopeds for Arioli women activists. In the year 1992, again a exhibition cum contest had happened, which was run by Arioli, and you could see 70,000 women who took part in this contest. Before it was only 1,500 women, but in the year 1992 it was 70,000 women, and here the UNICEF was impressed by the achievement of these women and they sanctioned 50 mopeds for them. Cycling boosts income. Some of the women here sell agriculture or other produce with a group of villagers. For such people, cycling saves time. Secondly, cycling gives you more time to focus on selling your produce. Thirdly, it helps you to cover a larger area. Lastly, it can increase your leisure time. So, P. Sainathan says, cycling boosts your income. If you have any small products that what you prepare at home, maybe the agriculture or any other produce, if you have a bicycling, you can go sell your products, you can plan according to that, and you can finish, or you can just sell your products with 2 or 3 villages, however you have planned for the day, and you can reach the home early. But those who don't afford, it's very difficult, where they have to depend on the man, husband, brother or anyone, or sometimes for the bus to reach from one village to other village, they have to wait for a very long time. So if they have learned cycling, which would be very helpful for the people to sell their agriculture products for villages. Earlier, small producers had to carry their produce only by bus and had to depend on fathers, brothers, husband or sons even to reach the bus stop. The small producers, those who don't afford the bicycle, they should depend on these people. Moreover, these women had to rush back early to tend to the children and to perform other chores like fetching water. The women who doesn't afford, what they have to do? They have to go sell the products, come back home soon, because before the children or the kids come, they should be there at home and they have to walk for a very long distance to fetch water also. Those who had bicycles now combine these difficult tasks without any excitement or tension. The author says even now you can see all along some remote road a young mother with a child on the cycle bar and the produce on the carrier. She could also see carrying 2 or even 3 pots of water hung across the back and cycling towards work or home. So here, the woman who has cycle, she just goes with the difficult tasks. What are the difficult tasks? She goes, sell the products, while coming back, she'll pick the children. Along with that, you can see the handlebars, there would be a stick. With that stick, 2 water pots she would carry and come back home. These are the difficult tasks the women who have learned cycling will do when they come back home after selling their products. Finally, the author opines that for these new literates, new cyclist women, more than the economic aspect, the sense of self-respect it brings is vital. Before concluding, the writer quotes Kananman, who opines that for rural women, it is a Himalayan achievement like flying an aeroplane. So here, before concluding, the writer says that is the opinion of N. Kananman, says that the rural women who have learned cycling, so it is a great achievement as if they are flying an aeroplane. Just they are comparing their bicycle to aeroplane, that they have done some achievement without depending on anyone. In the last, the author adds a postscript. He tells the reader that in April 1995, when author returned to Pudukkottai, the craze for learning cycling was still on. So in the year 1992 it started, but after that when the author came back to Pudukkottai in 1995, he could see the same craze for learning the bicycle. The large number of women were unable to afford bicycle, which then cost around 1,400 each. In 1992, it was 1,200, 95 it was 1,400, and there were few women who couldn't afford or they did not have so much of money to buy the bicycle. He concludes saying that Pudukkottai remains unique among Indian districts for the stunning proportion of women who have taken to cycling and the enthusiasm for gaining the skill among the rest. So at last he concludes saying that it is their self-respect where they don't want to depend on anyone. If they have made the filthy remarks also, they did not give their ears to them. At last they say that cycling gives them freedom, independence and mobility. And still the people, that is the women of Pudukkottai, have the same craze of cycling even now. And the weightage of this prose is for 1 mark and 4 mark. So put together it's for 5 marks. Now let's see the 1 mark question answers. What does cycling as a symbol of social mobility mean? Cycling as a symbol of social mobility means freedom, independence and mobility for rural women. What does bicycle represents for the rural women? It is a metaphor of freedom. Who has cycling benefited the most? It has benefited the agriculture laborers, quarry laborers, nurses, Balawadi and Anganawadi workers and school teachers. What is common between new literates and new cyclists? They are natural dependents on each other and they help each other in cycling. How did the men react to women taking to cycling? Men made a dirty or the filthy remarks. What has been a chosen medium for the rural women of Pudukkottai? It is cycling. What was the cost of the bicycle as mentioned in the essay? So it is 1200 rupees. Name the Areola Central Coordinator and one of the pioneers of the cycling movement. It is N. Kananmal. Who was the popular former district collector of Pudukkottai? Sheila Rani Chinkath. Who was the owner of Ram Cycles? It is S. Kanakarajan. Name the Areola activist who penned the famous cycling song. So he is the person, that is Muthu Bhaskaran, is a person who sang a song for the women and they used that song as their anthem. How many female cyclists took part in the International Women's Day in 1992? It is 1500 female activists. What is considered as the humble vehicle in the lesson where there is a wheel? It is the bicycle. Name any one of the women who have trained young women from the community in the art of cycling. It is Jamila, Fatima and Avakani. Moving on to the 4 marks question answers. How does cycling empower rural women according to P. Sainath? Cycling seems the chosen medium for rural women as symbol of independence, freedom and mobility. The main thing is that cycling gives confidence to women. Very importantly, it reduces their dependence on men. They use bicycles to cart provisions on their own from other places. For them, bicycles cut down on time wasted for buses. Cycling eases selling of their product. It boosts their income and increases their leisure time. It brings self-respect, feeling of goodness, confidence, freedom and liberty. The bicycle serves as a metaphor for freedom. Second, how did Sheila Rani Chinkath promote the empowerment of women? Sheila Rani Chinkath, the district collector, promoted the empowerment of women by including cycling in the literacy drive. She trained the female activists so that literacy would reach women in the interior. She also included the mobility as a part of the literacy drive. She pushed the banks to give loans for the women to buy bicycles. She made each block to accept specific duties in promoting the drive and gave great personal attention. Cycling boosted income and the bicycles cut down on time wasted in waiting for buses as they carried agricultural and other produce with their group to sell them. They can cover the large areas and increase their leisure time too. Cycling has empowered the rural women to improve their economic aspect, self-respect and independence. The concept of women empowerment is elaborated through simple act of bicycling. In what different ways has cycle empowered rural women in Pudukkottai? Cycling has a social movement in Pudukkottai started to hit upon the backwardness and as a result the women are empowered. In the past 18 months, nearly 1 lakh women, most of them were neo-literates, have taken to bicycling as a symbol of freedom, independence and mobility. It swept across the district. All professionals, women agricultural workers, quarry laborers, teachers, village health nurses have taken cycling such that one can see the direct link between cycling and the personal independence. So, it is considered as a humble vehicle. It reduces their dependence on men. They use cycle to collect water, cart provision from other places. All women ought to learn cycling and in turn, their experience would enrich the literacy movement. Mobility among women improved their confidence. All women's cycle rallies stunned the towns Inhabitants. It gives more time to focus on selling produce, and it enlarges the area to cover long distance and increase their leisure time. So with this, I've finished with the chapter 13 where there is a wheel revision. In my next revision class, I'll be revising last poem of your syllabus, that is water. Have a good day. Thank you.